Welcome to the Building a Better You podcast, presented by the Garner Chamber of Commerce Young Professionals. I'm Nick Spindler with Community of Hope Ministries.
And I'm Chris Morgan with Grow Local Realty.
The goal of this podcast is to help young professionals develop and grow into successful business people in their communities.
In each episode, we will talk with local business leaders to provide strategies and tips to help our listeners.
So let's dive right in. Welcome back to Building a Better You. We are excited. Today we have Captain Don Johnson with us from Garner Fire-Rescue, and he is the Community Risk Reduction Captain?
Community Risk Reduction Officer, Captain, whatever I need to be on that any particular day.
Awesome. So could you tell us a little bit about what you do?
So people hear Community Risk Reduction and they're like, what in the world is that? And a lot of folks kind of relate it to a glorified fire prevention type role. And it certainly involves fire prevention, but it involves quite a bit more of that in that we're using some historical data, some census data, things like that, as well as just what we know about our community to identify different risks within different parts of the community, and then developing programs, utilizing partnerships with stakeholders and private businesses, citizens, other organizations like Red Cross, for example. And we're utilizing partnerships with them to go out and address some of those issues at a grassroots level, through the different stations within the department. It's a very comprehensive type plan that takes several years to develop. And we're in the early stages of it, but it's going well.
That's awesome, because I know when a lot of people think of hearing Garner Fire and Rescue or firefighters, that's not on their radar. They're thinking the trucks flying out of the station.
Right. And that's the glory part of it, and that's what we all love to do. I mean, that's what I started out doing myself, and I still love it. And my wife picks on me all the time because when I hear a siren or I hear a fire truck,
where's it going?
I still run to the window and look, and she says, haven't you had enough of that? And you never get enough of it.
Right.
And yes, sometimes what the Prevention Bureau or the Community Risk Division or whatever it may be sometimes is kind of looked at as what exactly do you do? And our job is really to try and keep those fire trucks from having to run up and down the road. So it's a little bit different role, but it's an important role nonetheless, and we take a lot of pride in what we're doing at Garner and trying to limit the emergencies and whatnot.
Well, I'll say one thing I know being in Garner and learning about a lot what you guys do. I feel like you guys are very forward thinking, and on the cutting edge of some things, trying out some new things and that. So I think that is a good thing to have a department that's looking at what can we do to maybe prevent some of these runs from happening, because if that's happening, then we're living in a safer community in theory. Right,
and we very much are. As a matter of fact, a couple of examples of exactly what you're talking about, Nick, are the fact that last year we've been working for many years now on becoming internationally accredited through an international accrediting agency that governs the fire service, and we finally achieved that accreditation, which basically says that we're utilizing best practice policies from other organizations around not only the country but the world. And so and then last year as well, we also became a level 1 ISO. We got our ISO level 1 rating through the Insurance Services Office, which is a huge accomplishment that benefits not only our commercial but also our residential customers, as far as having a positive impact on their fire insurance premiums.
That's awesome.
And it kind of lets the public know that they're getting good service for the tax dollars that they are paying for fire service, and we're very proud of both of those accomplishments, because they do they show that we are in fact forward thinking, progressive, and looking at best practices to put in place to benefit everyone in Garner.
Right. That's awesome. That's really cool. And so it sounds like you guys are doing a lot to support this community. And so one thing we want to ask you as like young professionals or business people, what are ways that they can support you or support first responders?
Right. Well, we have a phenomenal community,
Yeah.
and one of probably our biggest highlight of the year, and most folks that have been in Garner for even a short amount of time, when they think of the fire department, one of the first things that comes to mind, if it's not the adults, it's the kids. It's Fireman's Day.
Absolutely.
That first Saturday in October, and I chuckle only because sometimes the staff is like, Fireman's Day. It depends on which side of it depends on which side of the job you're on. Sometimes it takes a lot of work, but our guys deep down inside, they have a big heart for it. They really put a lot of work into preparing for Fireman's Day, and it's almost a year-round event preparing for it.
I believe it.
But
are you on that committee that prepares for it?
I'm in charge of it. When I came into this position, I was told that it would be transitioning to me.
You were voluntold.
It got transitioned very quickly after one of our staff members left. So it's under I'm in charge of it, but I would be remiss if I didn't thank all the guys in the fire department. Everyone. I mean, everyone. It takes the entire department to put Fireman's Day on. But yes, it's a huge event. But we are also working to create other public opportunities to engage with the public. We've spent a lot of time last year with the downtown marketplace event. We've worked very close with the Garner Police Department with their community outreach division and trying to work together to put some events on. National Night Out, for example, last year was a huge success. But those things aside, there's some other ways the public can help us out. Just attending those public safety events and learning and encouraging that safe behavior in their workplaces and in their homes is a huge benefit, and that is certainly a way to support us. Another thing that I love is receiving phone calls from the public with asking if they can host a public event. Sometimes it may be a neighborhood homeowners association, or it may be a business, or it may be one of our educational facilities wanting to host an event. It gives us an opportunity to really reach out to a lot of people at one time. Obviously, our Fireman's Day, as I said, something that we started several years ago. We had to put a pause on it because of COVID, but we started back up last year is what we call our Citizens Fire Academy.
Okay.
So Citizens Fire Academy is where we will bring citizens in to our department one night a week for a couple of hours each night, and it goes about 8 weeks, and they get to visit. Each night they will go to a different fire station. The class is held at a different location, and they'll see the fire stations. They'll learn about things like our board of directors. They'll get to see some of the way our fiscal operations operate. They will get to see simulated emergency runs, emergency medical service that we provide, and it kind of culminates with a fun day on a Saturday down at the Wake County Fire Training Center, where they get to see some live fire. Watch guys maybe cut up a car, or perhaps rescue someone out of a burning building, and then they get a little graduation certificate and a T-shirt.
That's awesome.
We had a very successful Citizens Academy this past fall, and we've got another one starting up in the spring.
That's cool.
We've also began in cooperation with Wake County EMS hosting what we call our quarterly community CPR classes, and we offer those at Fire Station 1 right over on Main Street the first Saturday of each quarter, and those are all listed on our website. Both of those things with information on how to sign up for them. But we are wanting to get the community engaged and learning how to do hands-only CPR. Now, it's not your certification class that you may need for a business, but it teaches you how to do effective CPR compression just using a defibrillator in the event that a loved one has an event, and you may very well be able to maintain a pulse for them until help can arrive. Those first 2 to 3 minutes are the most critical in a cardiac event, and the data shows over and over again that early effective CPR and defibrillation. So we're offering that class. There's a few other ways to support us as well that people may not think about, is sharing our social media posts. We've really ramped up our social media presence and tried to get the news out there on our social media site about what we're doing. And the more people not only engage with that but share it on their post, then it ups the amount of people that we can make contact. And it's a phenomenal way to reach out to a lot of people very easily. And probably the best way is just to stop by a fire station once in a while. You see the guys out back washing a fire truck, or sometimes they're outside working out, or they may be out just sitting on the bumper of the fire truck, just taking a quick break. Now, stop by, just say hi, say thank you, and it's amazing what that means to the guys when they've been working, because they work 24-hour shifts. They like to engage with the public sometimes when it's not an emergency.
Yeah, that's so good. When they're running into situations, it's go, 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 and there's not a lot of time to sit there and chat with folks. So being able to find ways to pour into those guys and say thank you, that's huge. I know for us at Community of Hope, we love bringing our campers over, and they love getting the tour and getting to see Moose and the dog, and and so but being able just to bring those over, and what a joy it is for those campers. But I know it can mean a lot to those guys who, when you're at a station for 24 hours and you're just responding to emergencies, it can get a little isolating, I would imagine, sometimes.
Right. And obviously there'll probably be times when folks show up, and like anyone else, we're all human, and it may be really now. We just finished, but in all sincerity, a lot of the guys that work with the fire, a lot of the employees that work with us at the fire department now, they have families of their own, so they understand. And we were all kids at one time, and we all loved that big red truck.
That's right.
So we understand.
Yeah. Do you guys ever get goodies when y'all are?
Oh,
yeah.
Why do you think we all became firemen? Why do you think we? And I say we, but the guys at the station. That's why they work out so hard, because of all those goodies you have. You have to take off what you take in.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I
just like to ask that question. I was like, oh man, I'm pretty certain.
Yeah, the public loves cooking and bringing to the firehouse, and it's not in our best interest to be negative and say no, thank you.
No, we just got brownies yesterday. We're gonna have to turn these down.
That's not going to happen.
Right.
Gotcha.
And if it does happen, we hope that they'll bring them to the admin station.
Right.
Do y'all get overlooked?
Well, we're admin. No, actually, the public thinks about us too.
Okay.
So they come and see us as well.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Well, one reason we want to talk to you today is because I think in a lot of professions there are things that firefighters do that can translate to situations people might run into in their career. And like one thing I'm thinking of is that firefighters have to be ready for an emergency to happen at any point. Like no matter what they're doing when they're on their shift, when the bell goes off, it's time to go. And so what are some things that y'all do to make sure you are prepared?
Right. So, excuse me. Well, it never fails that in most fire departments, meal times are at 12 o'clock and dinner time is at 6 o'clock. So if someone from the family is not calling at 6 o'clock to speak with you on the phone when it's mealtime, then the pager or the bell is going off at mealtime. So the first thing is making sure that whatever you cook has the ability to sit on the back burner and simmer for a while, because chances are it's going to get interrupted. But in all seriousness, we and I say we as firefighters, I still, I still love it. I'm still one. We make every attempt to remain available as much as possible, beginning with trying to stay in our response areas as much as possible. We're each assigned a certain area within the community, a certain station assignment, and we do our best. They do their best to stay within those areas as much as possible. And if they do have to leave that area for whatever reason, for training, for a public event or whatnot, then coverage is made available, is made possible. The chiefs and the chief officers, the captains and whatnot, we'll make sure that there's someone covering that area. the other thing that we do, and this is one that actually we get a lot of questions about from time to time, and it can be frustrating at times, but it's an understandable question from the public as taxpayers.
Yeah.
We get the question, why do you drive the fire truck to the grocery store? That big red truck and all that fuel, and you drive it to the grocery store. Don't you have a pickup or something like that?
Hey, haven't y'all seen gas prices recently?
Right. And it's a legitimate question.
Absolutely.
And as a taxpayer, you want to know that your money is being used and spent wisely. But the reason that is, and that's just one example, but the reason that is we make every effort, if we've got the manpower, to send one person to the store, say on a small vehicle or something. But oftentimes that's not possible, either due to manpower or where we are throughout the day. And so by staying on that apparatus, that engine, that ladder truck, whatever it may be, if we're at mom and pop's grocery store and a call comes in, then instead of having to go back to the fire station and get on a piece of apparatus and respond, we're able to respond directly from where we are. And so it shortens the response time.
Yeah.
And what a lot of folks may not realize also is that our most emergency equipment in Wake County now is actually dispatched by GPS. And so the 911 center actually they know where we are at any given time by a location system. And so no matter whose quote-unquote district we may be in, whatever unit is closest to that call is going to respond to that call. And so oftentimes, by virtue of being at the store on the fire truck, it puts us closer to the next emergency.
Right.
So, and that's just one example. We get that question a lot. Another question we get is, do my tax dollars pay for your food? So I'll clear that up quickly by saying no. We all ante up. We all ante up each morning and put the money in for the food. So we do try to stay with our apparatus whenever we're out. But another thing that we do, and this is something that we kind of started doing through the accreditation process that I talked about earlier, is we are constantly looking at ways to improve both our existing facilities, and as we build new facilities, to actually make sure our personnel are as close to the apparatus as possible. And I know that sounds kind of funny, but if you're in a fire station and the bedroom is on one corner of the fire station and the truck's parked in the apparatus bay on the other side of a 200,000 square foot building, it takes a little while to get from the bed to the truck, and those seconds count. And so a lot of studies have been done, and we are working to make sure that as we move forward, that we're building our stations with response times in mind and building them smart. So and then the obvious things, making sure the trucks are in good shape, making sure that our gear is ready, is on the truck. The guys actually practice the best way to set their gear up so they can get dressed as quick as possible. People will always ask, why are you always washing the fire truck? Why are you always washing the fire? Every time I ride by the fire station, you're washing the fire truck. And there's a pride factor that goes with that, but it's also a matter of apparatus maintenance. And when that truck's clean, then you're able to find the problems and things that go on with it and able to keep it in ready to respond condition. So those are just some of the ways that we stay ready to respond and try to get out as quick as we can.
Well, the nugget I'm taking away from that is that you're making sure you're prepared. And so when that thing comes up, you're not like, oh, what do we do? Like, you're ready. Like you said, I wouldn't even thought of this, but even the firefighters thinking about what is the best position for my boot to be sitting in, so when I run out this door, I'm not having to turn it around. So I think that's huge, is not waiting for those moments to figure out what you're going to do. Go ahead and prepare in advance. Sometimes people think, when they think training, they think the big training burn, the big house on fire, cutting up cars, and sometimes training may be something as simple as how quickly can you get dressed, what's the fastest way to put that air pack on, the fastest way to get a line off of a truck. It's not always fighting fire and cutting up cars and things like that. So and our guys they train daily though. We've got a phenomenal bunch of firefighters that live to train. And so another area I think of is you guys are responding to when everyone else is running away from a situation, you guys are running into that situation. And, there's probably not a lot of calls you get or things you respond to that aren't like high stress, like it's a five alarm, like it's just at the top. It's not like all calm and peaceful usually when you walk in. And I imagine that can take a toll on you. And so what are some things you do to help manage that stress?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. And there's really a hot topic in the fire service right now, which, of course, it's always been an issue of concern in the fire service is stress management, but it's really the kind of a hot button issue right now. And you're right. Oftentimes we're sitting relaxing during dinner, after dinner, things are kind of calm, and you kind of go from 0 to 100 and really, really quick.
Because you don't know what's going to expect.
And even the most trained person, it still has an impact on the body, both physically and emotionally, mentally and whatnot. And we do see some bad things from time to time. I'm not going to sit here and say that every call we go to is the worst call you've ever been to. We go to a lot of stuff that's why are we here? But we also look at it from the standpoint of when you call 911, Nick. No matter what my perception of your emergency is, in your mind, it's it's the biggest emergency you've ever experienced, and we have to look at it that way. Right. And we try to be compassionate and respond that way, and that does take a toll on the firefighter mentally. So a lot of our guys, different people have different ways of managing stress. We have actually recently, our own department has created what we call our peer support team. Okay. And so our guys have actually taken some mental health training, some critical stress debriefing type training, some things like that. And we actually have put a team together of people who have gone and done that training, so that if Nick's having a bad day and he needs to chat with someone, he may not want to talk with someone he doesn't know. He may want to talk with someone in his family. Yeah. And that's what we are. We're a family. Yeah. We spend a third of our lives together. The guys are on shift. They spend literally a third of our lives together. And so we become a family. And sometimes you just want to talk to somebody in your family, but sometimes you want to reach out to someone else. Maybe someone in the fire department. It may not be someone you work with daily. So we have some members that are trained in that, but we also have connections to outside resources, the professional resources. Okay. But even in the lower stress things that may not require intervention to that level, a lot of the guys do some of the same things that the average citizen does. They love to work out. Our guys love, they work out and they train physical fitness wise to stay in great shape to do the job, but a lot of it also is mental. It's working that stress out. It's getting that anger out, that stuff that's pinned up inside you. And a lot of them will do that with the weights. Some of the guys run. Some of them play other types of sports, ride bikes. Some will listen to music. Some we've got a couple of guys in the department that play music, and they may go over in the sleeping quarters after dinner and downtime and actually play music and do things like that. So everyone has their own relaxation and de-stress techniques, but we also know that we're a family. Yeah. We may fuss, we may fight, but in the end we also know that we have each other's backs. So that's a big part of it there in dealing with it, is knowing that I'm not dealing with it by myself. Yeah. That's so good.
I think that's fantastic. I mean, even for, young professionals, as far as in any job that we're in, we always got to have each other's back. You know, we always have to continue to find ways that, yes, we work all the time, but at moments it's also got to be, how are we going to take care of ourselves on the back end?
And there are times when we can't do it ourselves. We don't have the tools to do it, and so we have that peer support in place. There's a North Carolina peer support group. There are lots of resources out there for first responders now that didn't exist even 5 and 10 years ago. Wow! And there's a lot more out there now that we can reach out to. We also do have annual medical physicals, and those really a company that comes in and does a medical and physical fitness physicals for us, and those help some too. And there's resources that we can reach out to within there. One thing that's kind of new to us that actually got offered to us, and we're talking about how the public can interact with the fire department, is Kara O'Brien over at Zen Yoga. So they're phenomenal, and so Kara reached out to us last year and wanted to offer classes for the fire department on Friday mornings.
Get out!
And so if you want to chuckle, if you want a good laugh, come over to Zen Yoga over off of Main Street on Friday mornings at 10:00 and watch some firemen over there doing yoga. But so cool. But we love it, and we've really enjoyed it. A lot of the folks from the administrative office have been going. A couple of the guys from the stations are going. And Kara does a phenomenal job of kind of playing down some of the stereotype that goes along with yoga. Sometimes we're big tough firefighters. And we're not going to go do yoga. So, but she makes it a lot of fun, and she should have been in the circus instead of yoga, because she can clown around with the best of them. We love Kara. She's been phenomenal, and it's funny now. Something I never would have thought I would have heard a fireman say is there's been some times around the administrative office, and it's been one of those weeks, and you hear somebody say, "I need some yoga." I don't care what's going on Friday. I'm going to yoga, and that's just not something you heard in the fire service.
Yeah.
Until recently, but it's been great, and she's been a great partner of ours in helping the fire department. Both mentally and physically.
That's a great way for the community to also continue to give back as well. Yeah. So that's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, Kara's been great, and a lot of the different organizations offer things like that to us. I just wanted to give a big shout out to Kara because she's been phenomenal.
Well, and I love that you guys don't have like a cookie cutter, like everybody's going to fall into this box approach. Like you said, like each firefighter is going to have their own thing, and so you have multiple avenues to be able to help them work through those difficult situations. So that's really awesome. But as we bring it in for a landing, we've got the two questions we ask all our guests. And so the first one we want to ask you is, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh boy.
4 words. Yes, dear, you're right. No, I'm just.
Words to
you gotta
live
be
by
careful.
Right there.
You gotta be careful when you do that, because Nick almost took that water and gone.
Yeah, he almost poured that all over his computer. No, if you're listening, honey, I'm just kidding. No, my granddaddy once told me that a man's handshake and his words should carry more weight than a piece of paper. If you say you'll do something and you do it, then the same will be returned to you. Yeah. And that's kind of paraphrased because I was very young, but I remember him saying that more than once. But that a man's handshake and his words should carry more weight than the piece of paper. And I think basically what he was saying was, if you always keep your word and do what you say you're going to do, signatures and contracts and pieces of paper, they don't mean anything. A man's word is what counts, and if you do that, then people will repay you in same.
Absolutely. And
I, for the most part, have found that to be true throughout my life. If I tell someone I'm going to do something, I do my best to follow through with it, and I won't say that I have always succeeded. We all fail at times, but it's probably one of the better pieces of advice I've always kind of hung on to.
Yeah, okay, good. I like it. I mean, I guess it's something that we can all do that, actually. And even if it's in other businesses as well. So, what is one thing that you utilize every single day that you do in your work or personal life that helps you to be better every single day?
Well, every single day. I wish I could tell you. I wish I could tell you that it was, prayer time, something spiritual, because I am a believer. However, I would be telling you a story if I told you that. But one thing I do try to do daily is some form of exercise. I try to go to I love the YMCA.
Yeah.
Phenomenal folks over there. I try to go to the Y. I try to go almost every day after work, but if I don't get a chance to get over there for whatever reason, work schedules or not, I will take a short walk around my neighborhood, or it may be something as simple as just going in the backyard with my bulldog and just chasing him around the backyard, putting on my earbuds, listening to some music, and just doing something that kind of gets me away from work and just disconnects me from everything around me for. I try to get in a minimum of 20 minutes, and I wish I could say I was able to accomplish that every day, but I'm like everyone else in Garner. We're busy lives. This is a busy community, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a busy community, and sometimes we just don't have time to have that alone time. But that's kind of my getaway is doing a little bit of physical work. The average person look at me would probably say, "Yeah, right." I enjoy exercise and I enjoy music, and so I try to put the two of them together for a few minutes each day.
Yeah, that's my
getaway.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a really fun conversation.
No, it certainly has.
It's good to know what you guys do also and dive deeper and even further than that. So we appreciate you guys.
Well, we have done our best to be a transparent organization, and people are welcome, and to come by.
Bring their babies.
Bring the babies. Get their pictures taken. Go by Station 1 to see Moose.
Right.
He may jump all over you, but he's going to love on you. That's for sure. And if you do, bring him a donut.
Yeah.
No. Sometimes we like to think that Moose may have been a police officer. Just a little stab there at my PD buddies.
How much he goes after those donuts.
He loves donuts.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm sorry, Chief.
But thank you so much. And we do just want to say a special thank you to you and all the people at Garner Fire and Rescue. You guys do an incredible job. You help make this community better. You help make this community safer. So we just want to say thank you to you. Thank you to all the firefighters, and thank you to the folks in the admin office. They're the glue holding it all together. So thank you guys for just the amazing asset you are to this community, and thank you for your time. And as always, please go rate, review, subscribe. It helps us get this message out to more people. And 5-star reviews only. Send the 1-star reviews over to Dustin at dustin@garnerchamber.com. But thank you guys for listening today, and we will talk to you soon. It cracks me up every time I see your sign where the song request one and Freebird's $100. I'm like, that's great.
And we've actually had a $100 bill thrown in the bucket a couple of times.
I'll say that was probably worth it then.
And had to pull it off, and it's not an easy one to pull off. So.